At 95, Clint Eastwood shares the real truth about his friend Jack Palance. Clint Eastwood was born Clinton Eastwood Jr.B. on May 31, 1930, in San Francisco, California. From humble beginnings, he would go on to become one of Hollywood's most enduring icons, a man who defined rugged independence, quiet strength, and artistic integrity for generations. Eastwood's early years were shaped by the lingering effects of the Great Depression. His family moved frequently around California as his father searched for steady work, which taught young Clint resilience and adaptability. Despite their modest means, Clint was a tall, athletic boy who stood out wherever he went. He attended Oakland Technical High School, where he showed interest in mechanics and music. Though acting wasn't yet on his radar, after graduation, Clint took on a series of blue-collar jobs: lifeguard, lumberjack, steelworker, each one strengthening the work ethic that would later define him. His life took a major turn when he was drafted into the U.S. Army during the Korean War, where he served as a lifeguard and instructor. The discipline and self-reliance he learned during that time became part of the stoic realism that marked his film career. Clint's path to acting began almost by accident. After returning from military service, he moved to Los Angeles and attended Los Angeles City College, where he enrolled in drama classes. One day, a Universal Studios assistant spotted him and arranged a screen test. Though his early roles were small and uncredited, Clint's determination never wavered. He studied every part of the filmmaking process, learning from the ground up. His first major success came in the late 1950s when he landed the role of Rowdy Yates in the hit television western Rawhide. The show ran for 8 seasons and made Eastwood a household name. But while Rawhide brought fame, Clint wanted more, deeper, more complex roles that reflected human flaws and moral ambiguity. That opportunity came when Italian director Sergio Leone cast him in the legendary Dollars trilogy, A Fistful of Dollars 1964, For a Few Dollars More 1965, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly 1966. These films revolutionized the Western genre and introduced Eastwood's timeless character, the man with no name, with minimal dialogue, steely eyes, and an aura of moral mystery. Eastwood created one of cinema's most unforgettable archetypes. His partnership with Leone not only transformed his career but also changed the landscape of world cinema. By the late 1960s, Clint Eastwood had become an international star, admired for his minimalist acting style and raw authenticity. In the 1970s, Eastwood began transitioning from actor to filmmaker, a bold move that few Hollywood stars dared to make. His defining moment came in 1971 with Dirty Harry, where he played the tough, rule-bending detective Harry Callahan. The movie was a massive success and gave birth to the iconic line, "Go ahead, make my day." Behind the camera, Eastwood was finding his true voice. His early directorial work, including Play Misty for Me 1971 and High Plains Drifter 1973, revealed a surprising depth and sensitivity. He was drawn to stories about moral contradictions, human flaws, and the blurred line between justice and revenge, themes that would become his lifelong cinematic signature. As the decade continued, Eastwood's storytelling matured. In The Outlaw Josie Wales 1976, he portrayed a Confederate soldier turned renegade, blending emotional vulnerability with his trademark stoicism. The film became one of his most respected works. Through the 1980s, Clint's evolution as a director continued with Bronco Billy 1980, Honky Tonk Man 1982, and Pale Rider 1985, proving that his artistry extended far beyond the gun-slinging Western hero. But it was the 1990s that secured his place among the greatest filmmakers of all time. His 1992 masterpiece, Unforgiven, a haunting deconstruction of violence and morality, won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. The film's deep reflection on regret and redemption mirrored Eastwood's own introspective nature and solidified his legacy. Even into the 2000s and beyond, Clint refused to slow down. Mystic River 2003, $1 Million Baby 2004, and Gran Torino 2008 all revealed his unflinching honesty and his continued ability to explore aging, morality, and the human condition. $1 Million Baby earned him another pair of Oscars, and Gran Torino showcased one of his most heartfelt performances, an old man seeking peace in a world that had passed him by. Beyond film, Eastwood even entered politics, serving as mayor of Carmel by the Sea from 1986 to 1988, a testament to his civic dedication and independent spirit. Clint Eastwood's personal Life has been as layered and complex as his film career. He has been married twice, first to Maggie Johnson, then later to Dina Ruiz, each relationship marking a distinct chapter in his life. He met Maggie Johnson, a young model and secretary, in the early 1950s, when he was still an unknown actor. They married in 1953, long before Clint achieved stardom. Maggie stood by his side through those uncertain years, offering stability as he worked odd jobs and took small film roles. She witnessed his transformation from a struggling actor to the rising star of Rawhide, and eventually, the world-renowned icon who redefined the Western genre. But as Clint's fame grew, so did the strain on their relationship. His demanding career, long absences on film sets, and well-publicized infidelities took their toll. Though the couple remained married for more than 30 years, they lived largely separate lives. Maggie's quiet patience and loyalty grounded Clint during his early rise, and her support through those years was instrumental to his success. Even if their marriage eventually ended in 1984, more than a decade later, Eastwood entered his second marriage to Dina Ruiz, a television news anchor and reporter nearly 35 years his junior. The two met in 1993 when Ruiz interviewed him about Unforgiven. Their chemistry was immediate. They married in 1996, welcoming their daughter, Morgan Eastwood. Later that year, with Dina, Clint found a sense of calm and companionship he hadn't known before. They lived in Carmel, California, where his public duties as mayor had once earned him local admiration. Ruiz brought a new sense of openness to Clint's world, even starring with him in the short-lived reality show Mrs. Eastwood and Company 2012, which offered rare glimpses into his private life. Yet, as years passed, differences in age and lifestyle began to surface. Clint remained deeply devoted to filmmaking, while Ruiz sought a quieter, more family-centered life. The couple eventually divorced in 2014 after nearly 20 years together. Now, at 95 years old, Clint Eastwood remains as sharp, grounded, and reflective as ever. For decades, he avoided talking publicly about many of his Hollywood peers, but recently, he opened up about his experiences with one of the most intense and enigmatic figures in classic cinema, Jack Palance. Known for his piercing eyes, rugged presence, and commanding voice, Palance was admired and feared in equal measure. When asked about their relationship, Eastwood smiled and said, "When I first met Jack, I didn't know what to expect. He had that reputation, tough as nails, unpredictable, always ready to go off script if something didn't feel right. But once you got past that exterior, you found a man who took his craft dead seriously. He didn't just play characters, he became them." Eastwood's admiration for Palance was clear. Both men came from an era when acting wasn't about special effects or digital spectacle, it was about presence, authenticity, and truth. Clint recalled a moment from the 1950s that stayed with him his entire career. "Jack once told me, kid, never fake fear. Either feel it, or don't do the scene." That stuck with me forever. That advice became part of Eastwood's own artistic philosophy, grounded in emotional honesty and raw realism. Still, Clint admitted that working with Palance wasn't always easy. Jack had this unpredictable edge. You never knew which version of him you'd get. Sometimes he was all charm and humor, and other times he'd look at you like you were about to duel. But that volatility, that's what made him great. You can't fake that kind of energy. Palance's reputation for being difficult was, according to Eastwood, misunderstood. People said he was hard to work with, but that wasn't true. Jack just didn't tolerate nonsense. He expected everyone to give 100%, because that's what he gave. If that made him tough, so be it. Their mutual respect was rooted in a shared work ethic, discipline above ego, truth above fame. Reflecting on Palance's legacy, Clint grew quiet. Jack was one of the last of a dying breed. He belonged to another time when actors didn't just play heroes or villains. They lived them. He could scare you, move you, and inspire you all in one scene. We won't see another one like him. For Eastwood, who has built his own career on grit and authenticity, his reflections on Palance aren't just about one man, they're about an era that's fading away. "Hollywood used to be full of guys like Jack," he said softly. "Real men with real stories who didn't have to pretend to be tough, they were tough. Jack didn't need to act brave. He just was." I admired that. Still do. In the twilight of his remarkable life, Clint Eastwood remains a man defined by integrity, endurance, and timeless artistry. His words about Jack Palance reveal more than admiration, they reflect his own code of life, authenticity above all else. "If Jack were here today," Clint said, "I'd tell him I learned a lot just by watching him. He reminded me that authenticity is everything, and in this business, that's the hardest thing to hold on to. And just like that, two legends Eastwood and Palance are forever linked. Not just through Hollywood history, but through the shared belief that truth, once found, is worth everything. Clint Eastwood's journey stands as a powerful reminder that greatness isn't born from fame or fortune, it's earned through endurance, authenticity, and purpose. At 95, he remains one of the few surviving links to a Hollywood that valued grit over glamour. His career, spanning more than 7 decades, reflects a man who never chased trends but instead shaped them through sheer conviction. From the dusty landscapes of The Good, The Bad, and The Ugly to the quiet heartbreak of $1 Million Baby, Eastwood has shown audiences that real strength lies not in violence or bravado, but in understanding humanity. Each role, each film he directed, carries his unmistakable fingerprint, silence that speaks louder than words. Characters that stand alone yet reveal universal truths. Even now, as many of his peers have faded from the screen, Eastwood continues to inspire younger generations of filmmakers and actors. They see in him what Jack Palance once embodied: authenticity, courage, and the refusal to compromise. His influence stretches beyond cinema. It's a philosophy of life built on discipline, respect, and the belief that one's word should mean something. Despite the passage of time, Eastwood's gaze remains steady. The same sharp eyes that once stared down outlaws and injustice now look back on a lifetime of stories, choices, and lessons. He understands that legacy isn't about trophies or headlines. It's about the people you've inspired and the truths you've dared to tell. For Clint Eastwood, that truth is simple: integrity never goes out of style. It's what defined Jack Palance, and it's what continues to define him. Whether behind a camera or standing beneath the bright lights of Hollywood's memory, Eastwood endures not just as an actor or a director, but as a symbol of what it means to live honestly, work fearlessly, and never lose sight of who you are.